What? You didn't think I was going to show you a picture of me in a Newt costume and not bring proof? You don't know me at all. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today our movie in the middle is Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore. Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore is the third installment in the Fantastic Beasts franchise, this time focusing on Albus Dumbledore as he creates a team to move against Grindelwald during a huge Wizarding World election. It stars everyone that we've had up till now, almost, but replaces Johnny Depp with Mads Mikkelsen. So this was written by J.K. Rowling and Steve Kloves based on a screenplay by J.K. Rowling. So it's a screenplay based on a screenplay. So after reviewing the first two Fantastic Beasts, I was cautiously optimistic to watch The Secrets of Dumbledore, hoping that it would be better than the second one. And you know when you watch a sequel in a movie series and you go, yep, that was another one. So let's start off with the highs because there are a few of them. The first is obviously just the technical stuff. It's always great. That's not even really a problem with this series. Visually, sound-wise, everything, the music, James Newton Howard does the music again. It's all great. A lot of people thought that there was too much CGI. I didn't really think that was an issue. I don't think there's any more CGI than in the first two. And yeah, maybe it's not the best all the time, but yeah, I thought it was okay. I think the biggest thing that this movie has going for it is that it feels a lot more complete. And I'll get to what I mean by that in a little bit, but it does feel more complete. It feels very single-minded and, like we're focused on one thing, unlike Crimes of Grindelwald. In this one, we are focused on one big thing. It is one big mission. We have all these people together, pretty much all the characters just about that we've had throughout the first two that we know and love. They are all in this movie, and they are all in Dumbledore's secret team that's going after Grindelwald. So I did like that it felt a lot more of like a through line in this one. But in terms of the team, I really did like all of them. Like I said, it's a lot of the characters that we know and love, and some of them that I didn't really love at first, but I actually grew to really like them in this one. I thought the team was great. I mean, you have Newt, you have Newt's, the maid, I think she is. You have Jacob, you have an R or two. So I thought it was a pretty cool team. And with that through line, it actually feels very suspenseful in a lot of the scenes because they are going after Grindelwald for real this time, and they're really having a lot of confrontation with him. So it felt a lot more suspenseful. It felt a lot more political than I thought it was going to be, but it did have some really suspenseful moments in there anyway. But there were some really great moments in this movie. I'm not gonna lie, there were actually some really great ideas. It was just the execution of the ideas that wasn't always there. But there are some really great moments, especially the heartfelt moments between a lot of characters. When either they're talking about the past and things that happened that we know about in Harry Potter or the previous Fantastic Beasts, or things about the future, or just moments when they're together and they're having these heartfelt, deep conversations. They actually had a lot of those, and those are some of my favorite parts. My favorite scene, actually, of the whole movie is the last scene, and that's not me joking around being like, oh, the end was my favorite. But I actually really loved the last scene because it was pretty emotional and just gave you all the feels. And a lot of these moments have to do with being back at Hogwarts. Like I said in the second one, Hogwarts was there, but I thought it was going to be in the movie more in this one, and it was. We had a lot of Hogwarts. We had a lot of stuff inside of Hogwarts and in different rooms, and of course all the music. The one thing, I saw this with my mom and my brother said what I was thinking is that, with a movie where there's a fair bit of lows, we were both just like, no, you can't just show me Hogwarts continuously and have the big grand music in the back and expect me to be like, everything's fine. There are still lows, but you almost got me. And of course, the characters. Obviously, the characters are probably the best parts of these movies because that's what we're here for. Specifically, Albus Dumbledore. Like I said, Jude Law in just Crimes of Grindelwald alone, when he was only there for a little bit, was already amazing. In this one, he was even better because we got to see more of him. Once again, I can't believe we have a Dumbledore where I feel like he actually is Dumbledore. Jude Law is just amazing. Again, he's very serious, but he's also very lighthearted. He's very whimsical and wise, and he has that presence about him. And I like that we see that he has faults and fears in this one. We obviously see that in the Harry Potter series as well, but it's really a lot more apparent in this one, and I loved that. Of course, we get Newt once again, and I love Newt. I've already said this enough, but I love Newt, and he's not as much of the focus in this one, even though he still is one of the main characters. But he does do a lot of awesome stuff as usual. He's a great character, and we get another animal beast dance like in the first one. And this one's more of like a crab walk, and it is something to behold to watch Eddie Redmayne doing that.
And now you have to start moving this way. Okay, all right, this is all right.
Jacob. I love Jacob's character, and I'm glad that he's here. It is a little weird that he's here, but the whole thing with him having a wand that we were worried about, it's not actually really the problem that we thought it was going to be. So that actually ended up being okay. I do have two middle elements. The first one is Grindelwald. Now, of course, Johnny Depp was replaced by Mads Mikkelsen, or as I like to call him, Grindelwald 3.
Okay, Peter 1, Peter 2,
Peter 2,
Peter 3.
Peter 3.
And the thing is I don't think Mads Mikkelsen did a bad job. Mads Mikkelsen is a good actor, and I don't think he did a bad job with this. I think he just wasn't written that well. I think Grindelwald was written better in the second one, which is weird considering it doesn't have a whole lot of scenes in the second one. But in this one, the problem is I felt he was too jarring. Because in the second one, like I said in my review for it, he's very well-spoken. He's a great political leader. He's able to persuade you on a lot of things. The way he talks about muggles and no-mags as if, they're not lesser, but just other, and he doesn't see them as, awful. He just doesn't want to be suppressed by them, and you believe him. And whether or not that's true, you believe him. And then in this one, they wrote him as like a straight-up Nazi who thinks that all muggles are animals. And it just seemed very jarring. Whether or not that's actually his mind state, which if you're going to have a whole war against muggles, I guess that has to be your mind state, but it just seemed very disjointed that he went from 0 to 60 in this one. But the problem is it's hard to compare because it's not the same actor, and he doesn't even look the same. They didn't even try to make him look the same. I don't know why. I guess they just didn't want comparisons, but I don't know. It's so different, it's very hard to compare, because if it was still Johnny Depp, same look, same actor, it would be a lot easier to be like, okay, this flows better, or this doesn't flow as well. But it's just very hard being two different people. My other middle is the use of the magical creatures in this one, because they do have, yet again, a lot of new magical creatures, which was really, really cool. And I thought that they did a pretty good job of being able to incorporate the magical creatures into the Grindelwald plot, using them as something that's not just there, but part of the actual, progression of the plot. That being said, it does feel like they had to come up with a way to incorporate creatures into the plot that made sense. It almost wouldn't have even been a thing if we didn't have to have the creatures in there. It is weird because while I love what they did with the creatures, it does feel very apparent in this movie that it's not working as well, blending these two plots together. And that is where my lows begin. I said in my Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them review that in that one, I thought they did a really good job of putting those two very different plots together, of having the magical beasts and leading into the Grindelwald thing. And while it still, for me, works in that one, I think in hindsight, it probably, I don't want to say it was a mistake to go this way, but it's just not going to work. They really, in hindsight, they should have made Fantastic Beasts its own anthology thing, one or two of them with Newt and Beasts, and, it's not world stakes, and people would have loved it. And actually, a lot of people are saying that's actually what they would have preferred now. We didn't know that then, so I don't fault the creators for that. And they are where they are now, so we love these characters, but we also like that we're getting in the Grindelwald, so you have to kind of put them together. But it is very apparent that they're like, shit, we really can't have one without the other, but neither of them really go together that seamlessly. And so it really becomes obvious in this one, because there's a whole subplot in the middle of the movie where Newt is in one place doing Beast stuff, and everyone else is in another place doing Grindelwald stuff. And they're completely separate. And going along with that, having Newt and Jacob especially in this movie, it feels like they're kind of shoehorned into this because they were two of the main characters. And it sucks because I love those characters, but it really doesn't make sense why they would be the only people in Dumbledore's army in this one. I get that, Newt and Jacob are two people that Dumbledore really trusts, and that's great. and they can definitely be a part of his team. But why is his whole team a bunch of people who, except for one, maybe two of them, aren't Aurors? Then again, the Aurors sort of sucked wind in the last movie, so maybe it's not that weird. It still is just odd to me that out of all the people, the professional people in this wizarding world, he's choosing a bunch of ragtag people to be in his mission. And I don't know if that's just to be more secretive about it or whatever. I kind of get it. I kind of don't. But it just feels like everyone in this movie, there's so many characters, they all feel sort of ineffectual. They all do like one or two small things, and it all leads up to, basically this plot, kind of. But it doesn't feel like any one of them do anything huge. And even the people who have a lot of character depth or deep issues or character arcs to be had are resolved super quickly and very easily, like a very Kylo Ren Rise of Skywalker sort of way. The other really big low for this movie is that it feels like nothing happens. I kind of touched on this already with the characters, but plot-wise, this movie could have been like an hour and a half. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes, and it feels like where we're trying to go doesn't really get started until the last 40 minutes of the movie. Because there's a lot of stuff going on in the middle that's about the politics, like I mentioned, but for a lot of it, you're like, what's actually going on? What are they trying to do? The mission's never really quite laid out. And again, they have really good ideas with what to do, but it's never really that well explained what they're actually doing. So the whole thing really feels like not much is happening, but they're making a great deal of effort for nothing to happen. There's actually a part in the middle where Theseus is like, forgive me, Albus, but aren't we back to where we started? And this is like an hour and a half into the movie. And I'm like, yeah, thanks for pointing that out. It's funny, I actually saw this, like I said, with my mom and my brother, and my mom had so many, she was on fire. She had so many quotes. She's like, you can put this in your review. Let me just tell you all the things she said. The first was, I will not be watching that shite again. You couldn't find the plot of this movie with 2 R's and a Deluminator, and we still don't know what the secrets of Dumbledore are. I love my mom. But I think with this movie, I finally understood what it was about the first and a little bit of the second that I couldn't put my finger on, but now I understand what it is that I was kind of annoyed about, is that a lot of sequences in these 3 movies feel like they're making a big visual deal, but nothing's really going on, if that makes sense. Like, it's like there's a lot happening visually, and they make like a slow motion thing or a big swell of music, and there's a lot of action and stuff, but it's like nothing's actually happening. Like, if you logistically broke down what's happening, it could have been done in like a quick move, if that makes sense, and that's what this whole movie basically is a lot happening, but not much is actually happening. Just a couple other quick, smaller things that really don't make sense. There's a fantastic misuse of port keys in this movie. There's a lot of port keys, and it kind of floored me how almost all of the uses were not correct. Also, there is a character from the first 2 that technically is in this movie, but really isn't in this movie. I won't say who they are. You probably already know because there was a lot of controversy over it, but I won't say it just in case. The character does show up for like 1 or 2 scenes, and I will say they do make for some very great scenes. Or like one scene. But it just sucks. Like, when they showed up, I literally was like, get the fuck out of here. Like, come on. The context is actually that they pulled out. I think they pulled out of the movie because of some disagreements with J.K. Rowling over her comments about trans people. So I can't blame them for that. It sucks, but I can't blame them. Lastly, and this was very interesting, Dumbledore has discovered the mirror dimension from Doctor Strange. Twice in this movie, he fights somebody in this weird random dimension that's like in the place he's in, but like separate from all the people in like a shadow or a bunch of big lights or something. It's like I don't where did you go? I don't understand. It's one of those things that you're just like,
That's great. Thank you. What is that?
so I don't know what they were thinking, with that. not in an insulting way. I literally don't know what they were thinking because it's just one of those other things. It's just one example of many where they showed, but they didn't tell. And normally that's okay, but sometimes you have to have some semblance of explanation. And so it was just very confusing. So overall, Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore, it's definitely not the worst movie. I don't think it's necessarily any worse than the second one for sure, but
It's not the best.
I want to watch it again, and I want to watch it with the other two because it's one of those that I've only seen it once. There's a lot happening, and maybe it'll be more seamless watching all three of them together. I'll give it the benefit of the doubt right now, but I can tell you right now that there's plot-wise, there's not a lot that happens. It feels that they are filling yet again, even though we're getting into big plot. It's weird, and I think it really just comes down to they've written themselves into this weird corner of they have to put two plots that have nothing to do with each other together. You can have magical beasts, in this, but if that was the main thing and now you're kind of trying to put it in this other big thing, it just doesn't work as much as I would love it to. However, I will say, still a lot of great moments in this movie, especially a really fun action sequence that happens towards the end that involves Newt's case. And again, a lot of heartfelt scenes, a lot of character stuff that I really loved. And again, there are some really great ideas mission-wise in this movie. But it's just the execution isn't great. It just seemed kind of Rise of Skywalker-ish. I loved the feel of it. I loved the tone. It felt a lot more complete. I will say it probably felt more complete because nothing is more complete than half of something, if that makes sense. It just didn't mesh, and there was still a lot of issues. Maybe not as many smaller issues as the second one, but too many big issues. I'm going to give Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore a 2 out of 4, making it my next true movie in the middle. I don't know if they're actually going to go ahead with the next two that they were going to make just because of everything going on, between J.K. Rowling and Johnny Depp and now Ezra Miller, and the fact that this was the lowest opening for any of the Harry Potter movies, which, box office numbers on the opening weekend usually reflect the last movie, not this movie, but still. And so, yeah, I don't know if they're actually going to. I heard that they may can the other two, which, would suck. But at least this one doesn't end on a giant cliffhanger, so it could be okay.
Here lie Squidward's hopes and dreams. What a baby.
Guys, there's so many more things I could mention about this movie. I might do a spoiler talk with somebody or, just a video on my own. And in that, I will also give you my rankings with all three Fantastic Beasts of where they are in my already ranked Harry Potter series. I need to think on it, and then I will get back to you on where they actually land. Guys, let me know what you thought of Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore in the comments below. And as always, keep your hopes high, your stress low, and movies right in the middle. I'll see you guys later. Knox.